What's up, Dunwoody? Welcome back to the podcast. It's all about Dunwoody, Georgia. My name is Matt Weber. The show is brought to you by Dr. Brett Friedman with Village Orthodontics. And today we've got Rosalyn Putnam, who is with Leadership Perimeter. Your tagline is Building Community Excellence, which is a great tagline.
Thank you.
But yeah, so wherever you want to start, I guess. I guess I saw your name somewhere, and Leadership Perimeter is the rebranded Sandy Springs Leadership, right? Or Sandy Springs, what was it called before?
Leadership Sandy Springs, that's right.
Leadership Sandy Springs. Okay. So this is the new brand. You just had your inaugural class under the new branding. I knew a lot of the pictures. I knew a lot of the names of the people.
Sure.
Some of them have been on the podcast before. Cara Epstein was my very first coach at Keller Williams. So,
oh my gosh, great.
Yeah. And Jennifer Long's been on the podcast before with Create Dunwoody. So, yeah, I've got a little connections with some of the people. But yeah, I guess let's talk a little bit about what Leadership Perimeter is, and then we can go into. You've got a great story too, so I definitely don't want to leave that out. But yeah, tell us a little bit about Leadership Perimeter.
Yeah. So moving back to, Leadership Sandy Springs was the name of the organization when we started. And this was back in 1986. So this nonprofit's been around, that long, almost 40 years. And, the mission has always been the same. It's developing, inspiring leaders to serve their communities. There are just about 300 other community leadership programs like this one around the country. And they serve major cities. They serve, different regions, counties, all for the purpose of strengthening the pipeline of community leaders. And the way that we do that is through sector-focused days. So we're exposing people how communities function, how local governments operate, and even, talk about state and regional operations as well. And it exposes those members to, a lot of different, issues, successes, and then ultimately how they can get involved after. We something that's quite special about our organization is that we take a multi-generational approach. So we actually do have a youth program as well. That one is more Sandy Springs specific. Yeah. And, for high school students, sophomore, junior, and seniors, their curriculum in high school is much different, right? It's set for them, setting them up for success, for what their career is going to be, but there's not a lot of, community interaction. So, when they're discussing issues that are facing our community, they're unaware of those things because of the curriculum that they're learning in schools, and they're able to meet other high schoolers from other areas as opposed to their own. So. Yeah, that's a great program too. Yeah.
Yeah, except for like SGA and stuff like that. I mean, it's really not taught at school.
Right.
You're learning math and English and social studies, and you're not really learning a whole lot about leadership. I was telling you last time we talked about the Dunwoody. Steve Fortenberry does the Finance Academy at Dunwoody, and there's a little bit of leadership there, which is really cool. And that's highly touted. Like all the parents around Dunwoody whose kids have been associated with that just love it. And so that's very cool that Sandy Springs. So it's mostly Sandy Springs kids that are, I say kids, they're 18, 17-year-olds that are.
I know. I do that slip as well. We say teens. Yeah.
Young adults.
That's right. Young adults. Yeah. So that program is specific to public and private schools in Sandy Springs. And who knows what the future holds? I mean, maybe we'll have a youth leadership Dunwoody in the future. So,
and this might be our future city council and mayors that are coming through,
Yeah, could
they stick around?
Exactly. If they stick around, yep, that's right.
Yeah. So so you said it's nationwide. Is it the same kind of curriculum? Oh, I had a hard time saying that. Is that nationwide, or is that something you guys have crafted?
So there's no curriculum that we have to follow per se, but there are a lot of similarities. There's a lot of info sharing amongst the leadership organizations. In fact, I'm attending our annual conference because we're a part of the Association for Leadership Programs next month. And like I said, there's a lot of info sharing. I would say, it's very similar in the way that each of them run, and the sector focus days like sustainability, human services, right? Exposing to, what all the nonprofits are in the area. You have a city day, so healthcare day, some of them have. So, when you look at these other organizations, you can pretty much see the similarities there,
Mhm.
but issues change, every
Yeah,
year. So
very
even
true.
our own curriculum and what we expose people to, I mean, you look at COVID, right? I'm sure, those conversations
Right.
changed a lot.
Yep.
And, I don't know when this is exactly airing, but for timeliness sake, we just had a big debate last night here in Atlanta. So
Right.
this season, certainly brings up a lot of different conversations. And so, year over year, it kind of morphs into different speakers, topics, but the foundation is remaining the same. What's happening in our community, and how can you get involved?
Okay. And you bring in local people to speak at these, or it's just kind of amongst yourselves?
Definitely bringing in subject matter experts. That's the key to this whole
Yeah.
thing. People who are sitting in these positions where they're exposed to that subject matter every day, and they're able to bring the realities of, here are the challenges of this. Here's the kind of the bureaucracy of this, and why we can't move this forward. And that's important for people to hear, because you know, we oftentimes turn the TV on and get frustrated, or, you see social media warriors and, making all these comments, or, we complain, we love to complain, right?
Yep.
But when you really understand from subject matter experts what the real issues are, what the challenges are, why things are the way they are, you are more informed. You tend to have a bit more empathy and understanding around things, because when you're making big decisions on, say, a big corporate level for a whole community, or government level, we talk a lot about unintended consequences.
Yeah.
Unintended consequence. What might be important to me is completely different than the person next to me in class. And gosh, I don't want anything bad to happen to their business, or to their sphere. So we talk a lot about unintended consequences and why certain decisions are made. Again, it's the result of that is informing people so that they're able to make better decisions in their day-to-day lives, and even with their businesses.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And there's some social media warriors that
That's
don't
right.
necessarily go by the facts there. Actually, I run a community forum. It's called Dunwoody Area Community Forum, and it's like 13 or 14,000 people at this point. And one of the local businesses has shut down, and the city was kind of doing a lot of road work right in front of it. And so everybody kind of just assumed that this road work wrecked that business. And so they were kind
Mm-hmm.
of getting onto the city about it. And it was interesting seeing the back and forth, some educated people saying, well, actually, that's not what happened. Some people that talked to the business owner that said that's obviously not what happened. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's social media is tough.
Yeah.
I've tried to take that group and put like a positive spin on it. And, we can all learn from this and that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah.
And we need leaders to step up and actually know what they're talking about, because that actually, you know, informs people more than just causing more issues,
That's
causing
right.
more arguments.
That's
Um,
right. Yeah. Yep.
so
That's
cool.
exactly
When I reached out to you, I thought this was more of like a networking thing, but it isn't.
right.
It's more of it's like a class. You're signing up for a class and you're getting educated by the people that you want to network with. So it's a very cool idea.
Yeah. So, and it's funny you bring that up, because yes, the educational component is the core of what we do. We
Mhm.
educate people, and show them how communities function. But the networking piece, I will say, that is a result of it. When you're going through a program like this, it's a 9-month program. We meet once a month. There's a bond that's made. There's a bond
Yeah.
that's made with those people that you wouldn't have met otherwise, and that lasts forever. I mean, these are people who will show up when they ask for help. These are people that will answer your phone calls, that will collaborate with your businesses. Just had a few examples of that, but I will say that relationships are a key part of a thriving community. So
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
don't undermine the fact that, yes, we bring you through these programs, but those relationships are so important.
Yeah.
How do you get anything done, right? How do you get through tough conversations or tough issues? You phone a friend. You phone an expert and say, hey, I know you've dealt with this, or I know that this is your area of expertise. Can you help? And that's the beauty of after
Yeah.
graduation, is really leveraging your relationships, your network.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you've got some local Dunwoody folks. Catherine Lautebacher, she was part of that
Yes.
inaugural group, right? And Mark Galvin from Discover Dunwoody, who is actually sponsoring the show now. So this is probably a
That
good time to do that plug, right? So Discover Dunwoody is our new sponsor. I've really only had one sponsor of the show since the show started, and that was Dr. Brett Friedman with Village Orthodontics. It just flows off my tongue at this point. But I wanted to bring on people that I really believe in. And with Village Orthodontics, my kids are patients. I'm a patient. My wife has had braces from there, and it's somebody that I truly believe in. But Discover Dunwoody is the exact same. I have just had so many great connections with Discover Dunwoody, and Mark Galvin has been super helpful with the parade and, really just What's Up Dunwoody and me personally. But so Discover Dunwoody is really like the marketing arm of the city of Dunwoody. And they've been promoting Dunwoody as a top travel destination since the city was founded in 2008. The mission is to kind of position Dunwoody as a must visit place. And they highlight, the city's hotels and restaurants and all kinds of stuff in the area. So if you have visitors coming to town, please make sure they stay at a Dunwoody hotel. So Dunwoody's really a hub for meetings and business travelers, vacationers. Now Georgia's got this booming film industry that Dunwoody's really going to take advantage of. Simply is just right down the street. And so there's going to be people that are staying in the city of Dunwoody. So if you run into visitors, make sure you give them a warm welcome. Tell them where your favorite restaurants are. Just make sure that they know that they're in Dunwoody and that Dunwoody is a hospitable place. Give them a warm welcome. So Discover Dunwoody's tagline is above Atlanta and beyond expectations. You've probably seen them promoting the local area on their fantastic social media platforms. Make sure you follow them at Discover Dunwoody. And yeah, welcome to the show, Discover Dunwoody.
Yeah. So Catherine, she, Dunwoody City Council person. So she graduated 2011, actually. And then a year, after her graduation, she got involved with leadership with the organization, because she really believes in it, and she
Yeah.
does so many things for the community, the perimeter, Dunwoody, obviously. And then Mark Galvin just graduated. That's right, he's class of 2024. Can't say enough great things. I mean, I was had a chance to sit with him on Discover Dunwoody, and they're just really shaking up how they communicate and market a city. And I have all the respect for him and his team. They do a great job.
Yeah, when he took over, it was kind of still the CVB, and now it's really the
Right.
marketing arm of the whole city.
Yeah.
And he's been part of the parade now and helps us with that. Yeah, I couldn't say more good things about Mark Galvin for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you get involved in this? And like, how much does it cost? And like, do the kids pay less, or how does that work?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, whatever their allowance money is, no, just kidding.
They bring in.
So yeah, there are costs to join the program. So you've got youth leadership and the flagship do have different rates for each. We have scholarships for each of them. We have really generous donors that understand that to be able to make this an equitable experience for both, for flagship and for youth. we need assistance. We need to be able to offset some of that tuition cost.
Yeah.
Who is joining? So these are people. I'll talk about Flagship for a minute. These are people who are really recognized as leaders amongst their peers. These are people who they want to get involved in community. So obviously there's a passion to seek to understand. These are people who are seeking to find more purpose in their lives outside of their 9 to 5. And what I love most is when people go through the program, they go into it thinking they will probably gravitate towards a certain cause or a certain aspect of maybe serving on a board at this organization, and they come out of it with something completely different.
Yeah.
And
Starting their own organization or something like that.
right, exactly. Or they're running for office, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we hear that a lot, and it's really inspirational. Youth, the youth group is equally as impressive. They are also leaders amongst their peers. I mean, these are the best of the best of each high school. They are incredibly confident, well spoken. They wear who they are on their sleeve. This generation is impressive. I have to
Yeah.
say, I hear people saying that they're afraid of this generation, but they're using AI in schools right now. They're accessing information quickly. They are truth seekers.
Mm-hmm.
I remember growing up, you were kind of falling in line, and if you heard something that was untrue, you keep your mouth shut. But
Yeah.
not this generation. They are incredible.
Or you
They've
never
got,
even knew what was untrue. Google
there you
didn't
go.
exist on our phones. Like you couldn't just pull
That's
something
right.
up and find the actual answer. So yeah,
Yeah,
you actually
that's right.
had
Yeah.
had to
So,
do some digging back there. Now they can instant knowledge and
yeah,
be arguing points and debating points.
that's right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So what is perimeter is such like a vague term. Where are you guys pulling from exactly? Where would you like to see people come from?
So yeah, so I hear that often. So the perimeter region, it was actually first coined in 1971. It was when the Perimeter Mall opened, and then it kind of grew legs from there. And the PCIDs, they obviously also manage the perimeter region, which I actually saw, I don't know, months ago, I was looking at there's actually a Wikipedia page for the perimeter region. And
Yeah.
so technically it is Sandy Springs, Dunwoody, and Brookhaven. So
Yeah.
those are the cities that we feature in our programming. That's the lens in which we show our curriculum, if you will.
Right.
Those are also the pool of leaders that we target, that we market to. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to live or work in those areas. It's certainly helpful because we're exposing you to different nonprofits and different businesses, so that when you're graduated, you can get involved in the region. But
Yeah.
we, even since the early days of this organization, we've had people that don't live in Sandy Springs or don't live in the perimeter region, and they're able to get the essence of how what community leadership looks like, and then be able to take that back into their own neighborhoods and communities.
Right. That's cool. Where you had a bunch of graduates over the years. Like, do they? A lot of them stay around here. What do they normally go on to do? And I guess leadership roles probably at some sort of company.
Yep, that's right. Gosh, so many different examples. So yeah, there are a lot of people who are still here. Who we have actually a first class member who still lives here,
Okay.
and we Carol Clark, and we have people who've moved, but we have people who've come back.
Yeah.
Actually, our youth program director, it's always funny to hear her story, and she knows everyone in town. Lori Pelkovich, and she moved. She's born and raised in Sandy Springs, moved to a couple different states, and then ultimately came back and settled here with her husband. And now she's involved, with the youth side of
Yeah, she knew
things.
how important it was and wanted to be part of it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that's right. I would say there is a lot of community pride in the perimeter region. People are very
Yeah,
happy to live here. The neighboring cities, they feel very safe. They feel they feel things are easily accessible. There's a lot of great shopping and restaurants and large businesses, small businesses. I mean, it's a great place to invest and to live and to play. So it doesn't
yeah,
surprise me that a lot of our alumni and our partners and sponsors and supporters kind of stay put, really.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
the perimeter, it is kind of like a unique area being in the middle of those three cities, but it is good that it was branded that way because there is like the PCID, like Ann Hanlon, they take care of
that's
that
right.
area and they make sure that, that area brings the most money into Dunwoody and probably brings the most money into Sandy Springs and probably brings, most of the money
Right.
into Brookhaven at the same time. And so, yeah, you got to, somebody's glad somebody's taking care of it.
Yes. Yep. And Ann Hanlon with PCIDs and her team, they actually participate in our economic development day. They do some
Yeah.
great presentations and eye-opening, stats from them. So yeah, we are very appreciative of their support as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Anne is amazing. She lives down the street from me. So let's talk about you a little bit, Rosalind. You have lived
Yeah,
all over
sure.
the place. Yeah. Tell,
All
tell
over
me
the
how
place.
did you get
Literally.
involved in this leadership?
Yeah. So my background is hotel industry, almost 20-year experience there. Started in Las Vegas, which is where I'm from, and moved around the U.S. In that industry, and ultimately brought me abroad, which was an incredible experience. My father was an expat, and I think at a young age, I saw that as such a unique experience and something I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And luckily for me in the hotel space, there's hotels all around the world, and these brands have this huge reach. So yes, I raised my hand. To move internationally, and the first move brought me to Johannesburg, South Africa. Incredible experience. If you ever get the chance, or if you've already been, South Africa there's so much. We lived there for 2 years, and I didn't feel like we didn't even scratch the surface. I mean, it was incredibly dynamic, and just also, speaking of community, understanding how those governments function and how the communities move on and thrive despite how incredibly kind people are despite history, and that's something that I'll remember, and resilient, extremely resilient. And after Johannesburg, moved on to Doha, Qatar. So did a Middle East stint for 3 years. I had traveled in the Middle East for a few years prior to moving there. But again, just a different community, different way of different cultures, right? And
Yeah.
there was a huge expat populace there. So meeting people from all over the world, and every day was a different holiday. I worked with over 100 different nationalities, and every day in the cafeteria was a national such and such day. And I mean, and then the food, the spread was all that
Yeah. I'm
country
sure you all
foods.
different types.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. It was just so much fun. It was a great experience. I love the diversity of cultures, and food, bringing people together. That was always over the dinner table was nice, and having some meaningful conversations. So yeah, those are experiences I'll never forget. And coming back to the U.S., again, kind of being on the hospitality side, it was the mission in hotels is it's creating experiences for people, creating these memories for people, for businesses, for families. And this I see a lot of similarities, because we're creating experiences and creating memories for people, to get involved in their communities and to make them better. So,
Yeah.
it just looks a little different now from the
Yeah.
hotel space.
For a little bit different. So how
Yeah.
did you get pulled in? Were you voluntold that you were
Volunteer.
gonna run
Yeah.
there?
So I happened
That's
to,
normally how it happens with me. So
yeah, right. So, no, I was in the right place at the right time. I was having conversations with people who, were talking about the organization, and um, my predecessor was just retiring, and looking for that next chapter in her life, and I was looking for a new chapter in my life. So in talking about the organization, and what is it, and what do you do, and what's the mission, and I thought, who wouldn't want this job? I mean,
yeah,
you're meeting so many different people. You're inspired every day. You're exposing yourself and others to things that you wouldn't otherwise know, and how you can get involved. So yeah, it didn't take me long to jump at the chance. And I will always love the hotel industry and hospitality, and the tourism business, but now I'm serving my community in a different way, and I
yeah,
love
like
it. Yeah.
educating instead of just worried about the hotel money. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's right.
And then you decided to like completely rebrand it. How
Yeah.
long were
So,
you with Leadership Sandy Springs before you rebranded?
oh gosh, yeah, it happened pretty quickly. So the expansion was in the works a couple of years prior to my arrival. So this
Mm,
was a conversation that was had, and some identifying certain needs to expand, just to for the health of the organization, really.
yeah,
And by doing that, an expansion looked like a regional approach as opposed to a city approach, which is what most of the leadership programs are. They either serve regions or counties. Some of
yeah.
the cities are really large cities. So the rebrand was about 9 months, I would say eight or 9 months after getting my feet wet. So it was pretty soon. Looking back, I think it was just, we were all in, both feet, both hands. But I'm glad we did it. I'm glad that we did it at the time that we did, because now, looking at the class of 2024, being made up of the entire region, it makes it all worth it. And being a smaller nonprofit, you're doing a lot of things on your own. So a
Yeah.
rebrand is a huge undertaking, but I couldn't have done it without all of the volunteers and board members that poured themselves into it and believed in it, and wanted to see that growth and more impact for people. So they know who they are, and I'm very, very grateful for them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, how do people get involved? Or I guess they go to the website and there's more information on tuition and when the classes are. Is it just one a year? Is that right?
That's right. There's one program per year, and that's flagship, one for flagship, one for youth. It's leadershipperimeter.org. You can learn more about each of the programs, and then for our alumni, we do have alumni events all throughout the year. So
Okay.
it doesn't
So
stop.
that's more of a networking thing, I guess, where there's speakers and
Yep, speakers. There's educational components to it. There's very intimate, conversations with big leaders in our region and in the state. And then there's some social aspects to it too. Yes, definitely learn more at leadershipperimeter.org, and also, our classes of 2025 currently full, and we will be announcing both soon. We'll be opening up applications again in December, January for the classes of 2026.
okay.
So stay tuned for that. But you can reach out to us and show some interest, and we can put you on, our list, and we have some different activities to tell you more about each program. Because as those questions come up.
Okay. Do you have to be involved in the class before you if to go to the speaker, the stuff that's year round? Is that
Yeah, so we have a couple of events that are open to the public. One specifically called Live, Learn, Lead.
okay?
Live, Learn, Lead is, we bring in a speaker or speakers that, that are talking about different timely topics that are happening either in the region, in the state, or it's a worldwide conversation. This year we're probably going to do something a bit more, educational from a workshop, right? So when you leave this luncheon, you will enhance a skill of some sort. So stay tuned for that,
Okay.
and we'll announce that. That one will take place in February. So
Okay.
it'll be a
Yeah, send
great
it to
time.
me so I'll put it
Yeah.
out for you too.
Yep. Definitely will. Definitely will.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on. Yeah, I really appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank
And
you.
this is very cool. This is something that I'm interested in too. So hopefully
Come
other
on
people
board.
that are watching. There's a lot of leaders in Dunwoody. There really are, and everybody tries to
No
do it in
doubt.
a different way. And so yeah, it'd be nice to bring everybody together and have them be able to socialize and learn a thing or two.
That's right.
Very needed.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for your
that's true.
time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
It's so nice to be on. Thank you for what you do, for your community. This is a perfect example of,
Yeah.
a person that we would love to invite into, the next class, and we'll definitely stay in touch. And thank you for
Very
having me
cool.
on.
Yeah. Thank you.